We just added new cities to my fall tour. We have Casper, Wyoming. We have Greely, Colorado. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then Salt Lake City. I will be back in Salt Lake City. I am so excited. And then also, these are a little bit later on the calendar, but we have added Boca Raton, Florida, and Naples, Florida. Very excited. And then, of course, we have a bunch of other cities. In just a couple of weeks here, I will be in Atlanta and Nashville. The Atlanta VIP has already sold out, or reserved, whatever you call it, but there's still general audience tickets for Atlanta. So get your tickets quickly. Atlanta, Nashville, those are coming right up. All of these can be found in the show notes or at jfcomedytour.com. Now, we have some new listeners from the last episode. Did you know that, Caitlin? Yeah. We have some new listeners from the last one. And I should let you guys know, this podcast is not all hot priest chat. I think that might be what brought people in. It's not all that. Although I don't know if it grows my podcast, actually, maybe it will be actually. The two things that seem to really get people out to that one was the hot priest chat, and I had a nuanced take on it. Okay, it was a nuanced take. And then I was also saying that based on the controversy with Chrissy Horton and Lila Rose, and there was a quote from a podcast episode they did where they said that men don't need sex. I commented on that, and I encouraged women to have a conversation with their husbands and say, the Jen Fulwiler show has made me aware that a lot of men out there feel just a little bit frustrated and like they're having a difficult time because physical intimacy is not as much part of the current situation than they would like it to be. And I encourage women to just open that conversation with your husband and say, have you seen that with your friends? And how do you feel about that? And if he falls to the ground weeping while kicking holes in the wall, you'll know that this is a source of pretty big pent up tension for him. That's really, okay, you know what? That's my growth strategy for this podcast. It's just every episode is going to be telling you ladies to make that more of a priority in your life so that your husband feels loved and, his love language. Do you know how enormous this podcast would be? It would be every husband in America saying, honey, have you listened to the Jen Fulwiler show recently? And you would be like, oh, I'm so busy. I haven't had a chance. And he would be like, I actually hired 2 nannies. They both used to work at Windsor Castle. They're really good. So they're full time now so that you can dedicate yourself to the most important thing you do, which is listening to the wisdom of the Jen Fulwiler show. And also, honey, I don't know anything about that bank robbery that happened. Don't ask how we're paying for these nannies. Just listen to Jen because it's all wisdom on that podcast. I think that is my growth strategy. But so we have a couple of topics that we're going to hit today. One is kind of related. There's, for some reason, the algorithms keep showing me this content about how to be feminine, how to be a woman, and how to get things from men. I don't know. I guess from a psychological perspective, I am interested in human dynamics. I guess that is what the algorithm is seeing in my watch behavior. I guess also because I do like to read the comments to these. I like to know how clueless is modern society? How far away from reality are we? So I keep getting served this content, and Caitlin, play that one. We'll play it more later, but play the one that is like about the Porsche. It is Laura Catella. Listen to her words here.
Ladies, I may be mid, but here are 10 reasons why my husband bought me this Porsche. I don't argue. I speak calmly and leave space for him to rise. I assume his intentions
okay, you can pause it. This is my whole feed for some reason. Okay. And like none of us care about men buying us luxury vehicles. Yeah, I think this is maybe, of all the crazy things that have been said on this podcast, this is maybe the most important time to say The opinions expressed by the host of this podcast, Jen, do not necessarily reflect the opinions of its producer. If any men would like to buy Caitlin a luxury vehicle, I think that she is totally, she's open. She's open to that. So I'm getting all this content about how to be a woman and how to make your man happy and get him to buy you a Porsche. And it is really interesting to see how clueless our society has become. It is really interesting to watch people kind of fumbling in the dark to try to figure out truths about humanity that if they would just stop wasting time and be Catholic, they could pretty easily figure out. So I think that will be an interesting discussion. And then the second thing that I want to talk about is, I say again, I don't know why the algorithms serve me content from people who appear to be, they're 25, 26, 27. They're gorgeous. They're these gorgeous girls, and they give advice about life that is like, yeah, you haven't been kicked upside the head by life enough. I mean, and I hope they don't. I hope they don't. I hope they live lovely lives. But sometimes it is a cynicism check for me when I see content like this, that I try to be a positive person. I try to be optimistic. And then I see content like this, and I'm like, I'm just a bitter crone. That's my problem. So play the worry jar one.
I'll never forget the craziest massage I've ever gotten. It was 4 years ago, but it wasn't the massage that made it crazy. It was what she said to me. She said, Liv, do you worry? And I said, yes. She goes, do you get stressed? I go, yes. She goes, well, I don't. I haven't stressed in 60 years. I'm like, oh, okay. She goes, that's because I have a worry jar. And I'm like, oh, nice. Like, my whole back is getting massaged. I'm like, what's that? She goes, I label the mason jar the worry jar, and I take little slips of paper, and every time I worry, I put them in the jar. And there are two rules. One, I open the worry jar on the last Friday of the month. And two, once the worry is in the jar, I'm literally not allowed to worry about it anymore. I'm like, okay. She goes, and you know what happens, Liv? I'm like, on my stomach this time. I'm like, what? She goes, at the end of the month, I realized that nothing was worth worrying about and that everything always works out. And I was like, so if you are someone you love worries a lot, I think you need a worry jar, and to remember it all works out.
She thinks I need a worry jar. That's from Liv Schreiber on Instagram. Caitlin, you're a single mother of 4. After hearing that clip, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a cynical, bitter woman do you feel like based on your reaction to the worry jar? Okay.
Put it in the jar and forget about it? Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And when the cops show up, you show them your worry jar. When the social workers from Child Protective Services, like, well, I'm not allowed to worry about it because it was in the worry jar. When the guys come to repossess your car, you're like, that was in the worry jar. Like crazy. I wasn't allowed to think about paying this car payment. We're going to talk about that. There's just so much. It's just as usual. It's a cornucopia. On this show of just wisdom and goodness. This is the Jen Fulwiler Show, coming to you from Austin, Texas. I am your host, Jen. I am a stand-up comic on tour very soon, a best-selling author, a mom of 6. This is the podcast where you learn the art of the village hustle. That's being a hot girl boss, or hot boy boss, who knows that love and family and community are the foundations of all true success. New episodes every single Wednesday. And don't forget that we have a patreon.com/this is Jen, but that's okay. That's not what I meant to say. We make this podcast available on all platforms. So it is available on YouTube. It's on Spotify. It is on Apple Podcasts. It's everywhere, anywhere you like to follow your podcast. And of course, there is now a link in the show notes. So if you ever want to switch over to video to see the media that I'm playing. We usually play videos when we're playing these clips, or to see how I put my bangs up under this hat. It's all very exciting. A lot of exciting things are happening. So you can just click over directly to this exact episode on YouTube. And yes, on the Patreon, I've been keeping you guys posted on. It's a big business decision I made that I'm somewhat regretting. And it has made me so busy. It's honestly crazy. And I really think it might have been the wrong decision. Now, keeping all of this on Patreon, a cynical person, people would be out there saying, Jen, it's just a money grab. It's just a money grab that you won't say on your podcast what it was that you did, that you put that on Patreon. And to that, I would say you're exactly right. It's totally a money grab. I have 2 kids in college. But I will also say, because this involves professional relationships with people that I would like to not burn bridges with. And, well, actually, here's the big thing. The decision I made. There is a group of people who I have professional connections to that would not like this decision and would not think it's a good idea and would be frustrated and disappointed with me if they knew I made this decision. So that is why it's on the Patreon. At least they have to join the membership community if they want to know what dumb thing I did. And what episode was that? It was it's the one that's up right now as we're recording this. 102, I think. 102. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's Village Hustle. That's the Village Hustle tier of the Patreon. That's episode 102. Patreon.com/thisisjen is where you get all that bonus content goodness. All right. Let's start with, should we start with the Porsche or the worry jar?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? The how to get a man to buy you a Porsche, that relates into a much broader, much more philosophical topic. Let's save that for a second. Okay. The worry jar. Okay. So we just listened to that clip. Play the last part of it so that we can refresh our memories here on that.
I'll never forget the... And 2, once the worry is in the jar, I'm literally not allowed to worry about it anymore. I'm like, okay. She goes, and you know what happens, Liv? I'm like on my stomach this time. I'm like, what? She goes, at the end of the month, I realized that nothing was worth worrying about and that everything always works out. And I was like, so if you or someone you love worries a lot, I think you need a worry jar and to remember it all works out.
I'm sorry. I'm such... I'm okay. I'm trying not to be the most bitter, cynical person. I always said I wouldn't be that person, that you hit your 40s or you have a few kids and you're like, it's not that easy, you whippersnapper, and get off my lawn. But I think I have actually become that person. I've become that person. I'm like, no, nothing's easy and nothing ever works out. I see how our elders got there. Actually, now I see how they got there. But I think the reason I'm talking about this video is because there's a grain of something there. There is a grain of something of it's similar to the advice that those of us in the Catholic ghetto get, that is good and true advice of turn it over to God. So that's, for atheists, they have their worry jar. We have Almighty God. I could even see that you could even use it from a Christian perspective. I'm going to write this down, put it in the worry jar. That means I've turned it over to God. The problem is that when you have major responsibilities and major challenges, especially that impact other people's lives, if you're a parent or if you're taking care of elderly relatives or something like that, the risk is so much higher. You are just in more of a high risk situation. And it's one thing to say that I'm going to, I just quit my day job as an accountant and I'm going to be a TikToker full time and I'm just putting my worry about money in the worry jar. And if you're getting the eviction notice, if you are a single person and these decisions don't impact much outside of your credit score and your place to live, then especially if you have extended family that you could crash at their house if things don't work out, I think it is easier to have a worry jar mentality, or even from a Christian perspective to say, I'm not even thinking about it. I turned it over to God. I'm not thinking about this at all, which, by the way, that's not how Christians are supposed to behave. Like, you turn it over to God and then you just stay in bed all day. You're like, I don't know, God's God. I don't think I need to go to work. You could do that, Caitlin, with, your 9 to 5. You could just be like, I turned it over to God. And so I'm not showing up today, because I just think that God has this. So that is not how Christians are supposed to behave. But I do think that this idea of just, you're not allowed to think about it once you put it in the worry jar. If it is only your life that is going to end up in degeneracy, if the worry jar does not work out, then I think it's okay to have a little bit more of a light, airy, like, oh, it's fine, whatever. But for those of us who are parents or have, again, taking care of elderly loved ones, or just have those types of responsibilities, we're going to need something a little more than the worry jar. And you guys, I'm becoming the person I said I would never be. This is so, because now I'm going to say, when you have teens, I'm not trying to be that person. Having teens is just my favorite. I love teens. They are so fun. I adore their company. But there are certain risks with teens that are, the worry jar is not going to cut it. To give you an example, this is not from my life, but just to give you just a general example of the kinds of things that we're going to need more than the worry jar is the big thing that parents of teens always worry about is once they start driving, it's like, I mean, you just need an IV drip of Valium. It's such a scary prospect. And of course, the big thing that parents of teens always worry about is texting and driving. And let's say you caught your kid texting and driving, and there were some punishments and they said they would stop, but you're worried, you have some worries that they're still texting and driving. Can you put it in the worry jar? Can you put it, they end up crashing into someone. Somebody loses an arm and you're like, well, it was in my worry jar. It was in the worry jar. Hey, you know what? I know you felt like you needed that right arm, but listen, put it in the worry jar. What am I going to do without a right arm? You put it in the worry jar and then you can't think about it for a month and it'll be fine.
It'll all work out.
I'm sorry. Look, the problem is me. I'm such a cynical person. I'm not trying to make fun of anyone's joy and lightness of being. Okay. The problem is me. But I do feel there is a certain weight that I would agree with people is there as your kids get older. There's a certain weight of, these are mini adults now. They can operate motor vehicles. We're starting to make decisions about college. For us, like all our kids, that's a requirement in our family that they go to college, but I know other families that's not a requirement. So they're thinking, well, so what are you going to do? Do you want an apprenticeship? Do you want to learn a trade? Whatever. And these are big decisions this could still be impacting you 10 years from now. And again, it's all fun. It's all good. It's wonderful. I'm not one of those people who say, oh, you wait till they're teens. I would rather be a parent to teenagers any day than like screaming little blob babies that like you can't talk to them and they're so loud and you never know what's wrong. So it's all good. It's all good, but man, your worry jar, I mean, it would like catch on fire. The worry jar would explode in protest if you try to use it. Like you're putting like, I think my teen is texting and driving. I think my teen's friend is using drugs that may have been exposed to fentanyl. It's like the worry jar is like, no, stop. Hey, get this crap out of call the cops. This needs to be the 911 jar. This is very serious. I mean, especially in this day and age, there's like fentanyl out there. This is just every day is like you're in a war zone trying to keep these kids safe. Good Lord. And for those of us in the Catholic ghetto, we're trying to keep our kids Catholic on top of that. Like, oh yes, everybody listen, you pray all the time and don't do this and don't do that. And it's great. I actually think things are going pretty well. Thanks be to God. Things are going pretty well in that department. But that's a very countercultural thing on top of everything else. It's like, don't do literally anything that any of your friends, peers, or the people on social media are doing, and you're trying to keep them safe while they drive, and you're trying to help them have a relationship with God in the day and age of social media and all that. The worry jar is not going to cut it. And so I was thinking, I've actually put a lot of thought into what advice would I give to parents? And this is not just parents of teens. This is, at this point, we're talking about kids of any age. Again, there is something to this. And I don't like Liv, who did this video. She seems very sweet. And I want to say, in all seriousness, I love people putting themselves out there and saying what works for them. That's a difficult thing, to put yourself out there on social media. And I applaud her for saying, this blessed me. This is what worked. She just didn't know that this cynical, world weary, bitter woman who's like 20 years her senior was going to come along and be like, my worry jar. She didn't know. I applaud her for putting that out there. Okay. So what is our version of the worry jar, the turn it over to God jar? I have actually put a lot of thought into this for you guys. I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks, and this is something that I'm living, that Caitlin is living. So this is very, very near and dear to our hearts. And I would say this, it is important to, especially if you're living your life where you're trying to build this village and have a great family and a great community, but you're also trying to discover, use your blue flame. You've got other stuff going on. You have a really busy, active life. You're looking for a new job or a new hobby, or like me, you're doing this crazy career that's a blue flame that occasionally burns you severely. There's a lot going on, and your anxiety level can occasionally get very, very, very high. And we can't live in a state of just constant anxiety. And it is the right thing to do, to turn it over to God at some point and just say, I have done what I can do. So what does our version of the worry jar look like? Here's what I think it is. I think that the way we should use a worry jar is that, first of all, it's the turn it over to God jar. And you only put something in that jar when you have taken massive action, when you feel like you have done everything in your human power to resolve this. And then you might need to take it out too if the situation goes. You can take things out of our worry jar, but I do think that could. Caitlin, you are a woman with a lot going on in your life. I think there could be something, if it's almost like a daily thing, where let's say you write something down, like this stress in your life. I have done everything I can do today. So from 11 p.m. until 6 a.m., it's going in the worry jar. I mean, that could help, right?
Yeah.
And
it's almost like a way of journal speak, but it's simple.
Oh, that's a great insight. So you're saying that there could be people out there who don't want to journal for 5 hours straight like I do. That's crazy. You guys are so weird. But that is interesting. So you could say, like, I don't know if your car needs to be repaired. Like, I've done everything. I don't know where I got that idea. For today, I've done everything that I can do for now. And so it's going in the jar. And maybe if you can't even get to this situation until Friday of this week, it's like it stays in the jar. And like, I'm not going to perseverate on it unless I can take action right now. And it's like, I see it in the jar. I see it. It's like car repair, but nope, it's in the jar. We're not dealing with that today. And you're just like, that's God's handling it while it's in the jar.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great insight, that it's like journal speak for people who are not pretty far into the Asperger's spectrum. I like that. I like that. I think that's a good idea. And So, and again, I use the texting and driving example because it's such a classic thing. And it's that, I think that's an example of something that you could see just misguided kids they're good kids. They're just dumb, doing that. But it could lead to, it's very serious. It could lead to absolutely catastrophic consequences. And so that's the kind of thing, honestly, if you suspect that, you need to be worrying about it. You're not worrying about it enough if you suspect that your kids are doing that. So I could see if there is this kind of rule, this idea that before you write something on the worry jar list, you have to have taken some kind of action on it. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you took the kid's car away for a couple of weeks to show how serious you are about it or whatever. So you've taken your action. You weren't just thinking about it. You weren't just fixating on it. You took some action, but now it's 10 p.m. You're trying to go to bed. This is the kind of thing that would tempt you to lie awake until 3 o'clock in the morning, thinking of worst case scenario things. But nope. It's in the jar. You know what I would do? I would put like, I'm doing this, guys. I'm doing this. I would do in the jar. I would put an icon of Our Lady of Perpetual Help or some kind of saint.
Oh, yeah.
And so that for my Catholic ghetto mind, it's like, no, this saint is sitting here with this worry. And that for me, you guys will be shocked to hear that I can get into some real tortured analysis with my prayers. I'm like, well, but did I make it clear to this particular saint? I don't know if this is exactly your patronage, but I do think it falls under the umbrella of your patronage. You guys, listen, I'm going to get the help that I so desperately need. Hit the interesting tangent. I did get permission to say this. One of my, I'm pretty sure you know this. One of my children was recently diagnosed as being autistic, as being high functioning autistic. So did I tell you that?
Nope.
I think you can guess who, but actually, well, you know, it's funny. She's probably like, oh, well, I'll tell you off the air. But so when you hear things like that, then I'm arguing with saints about what exactly is in their patronage. For me, you know, you're like, oh, really? You have a high functioning autistic child? There's no way. So I think that would be helpful for someone like me who tends to get wrapped up in my mind with crazy thoughts, and I tend to overthink things. To have, let's say I write down whatever my worry is, like I'm worried this bill is going to be really big or whatever. So I did what I could. I set aside some money. I have taken my massive action. And so for now, it's coming back out of the worry jar, maybe tomorrow or the next day or whatever. But for now, I'm dropping it in the jar, and I've got my saint in there. Okay, for non-Catholics, it's not like it's not like a genie in a bottle. Like that's literally a saint in there, but you know, and I would get a blessed holy card. So there is some spiritual, you know, mojo around it. Maybe put a Saint Benedict medal in there, because those Saint Benedict medals hit the Catholic ghetto tangent. If you have a Saint Benedict medal, you can't just have any priest bless it, or if they, I guess any priest can bless it, but it has to be blessed with a special Benedictine blessing, because on the medal it has prayers of exorcism on it. So Saint Benedict medals are very powerful. Okay, so anyway, I put a Saint Benedict medal in there. I'd put some really, really solid saints, you know, my go-to guys and gals. I'd put them in there, and then I would just write something down, put it in the worry jar. And for me, the worry jar would symbolize, I have done what I can do. And I took inspired action. I prayed about it. If I felt like God was inspiring me to do this or that, I did all that. I will continue to do all that. But for now, for tonight, when I'm trying to go to sleep, it's in the worry jar. And if I kept that by my bed, I actually think that might have a kind of a powerful impact on me. If I'm tempted, my mind gets going like, oh, but what if a meteor strikes the house? And then blah, 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 blah. I am the worst about having my mind go crazy in the middle of the night with all these thoughts of worst case scenarios. And if I could glance over at the worry jar and say, oh, darn it, that one's in the worry jar. So, I can't think about it. I can't go into that right now. I can't stress about it. I can't fixate. I just have to turn that over to God because it's in the worry jar. I think that would actually be pretty effective for me. I'm going to try that. I'm seriously going to try that. So you guys can try that too. Leave a comment. That probably the easiest way to interact with these episodes. The only platform that I know of, well, that I check that has comments is YouTube. So if you try it, let us know. But I think that's really, I would say, the core of being a person who gets things done and has an impact and brings order to chaotic situations, brings good out of bad situations. The name of the game is combining massive inspired action with massive trust. Again, I think a priest friend told me which heresy it is to just say, oh, God has everything, so I don't have to worry about anything ever. Or I don't have to take any action ever. I want to say like quietism or something, but it is an official condemned idea that you can just sit on your rear and do nothing because you prayed about it. God will inspire you to take action, to do things. Frankly, I think that's one of the ways that he connects us with each other, that he puts us more deeply in the human experience, is by inspiring us to solve our problems. Say, hey, pick up the phone, call that guy. Like if it's a car repair thing, you know what? You might think, oh, you know what? I used to work with a guy whose cousin was a mechanic. You know what? I'm feeling inspired to pick up the phone and call him. And maybe that ends up being a good friend of yours. You guys end up being great friends or whatever. So inspired action combined with massive trust and a realization that at some point, all you can do is all you can do. You don't control the world. You can't engineer a perfect outcome where everything is just perfect and goes according to your plan. And so at some point, and this is why that video caught my attention, at some point, there is a place for a worry jar. It's just not for 30 days. 30 days? What? No. Do you understand? I would be homeless. No, I'd be in jail because you can't be homeless if you're in jail. My kids would probably be in jail. I mean, like, no, it's not for 30 days. But yeah, I think if it's something like, let's say it's Monday. I think I've done everything I can do with this situation. I'm actually, medical test results. I think we've all been there to different levels of severity. And you had a test and it's Monday and you won't hear back until Thursday. I would say do your massive action. So do all the research you want. Get it out of your system. Research this, research that. Terrify yourself with the Reddit forums. Just do all that. And then put it in the worry jar and say, this stays in the worry jar until Thursday. And I'll get it back out when I get that test result. And then we'll take some more action and put it back in. But it's in the worry jar. And I do think that you could get a sort of Pavlovian effect there where I do think you could kind of train your mind, get that good neuroplasticity going on where if you consistently do this, you write something down, you put it in the worry jar with your best saints and all that, some good metals and all that, some blessed objects, and you put it in there and you really train yourself not to fixate, stress, worry on those items. I do think that you could your brain could almost learn that when it sees that paper dropping in there, that it's, we gotta, I don't know, it just is what it is. It's like, we gotta stop worrying about it. So try it. I think I'm going to do that because when I saw that video, as much as I laughed at the idea of like, it'll all work out. Like, really? Would you like to hear some stories, you whippersnapper, about the times it didn't work out? Oh my gosh. Some of the... I need... I have not done enough trauma release therapy. I mean that it'll all work out. There's been some things going on over here, not with our family, but you guys, sometimes it's hard things happen in life and you can't put things in the worry jar for 30 days. But again, the reason it caught my attention is there was a part of me that thought, I like, yeah. I want a worry jar. And then I heard 30 days and I'm like, no. So I think there's a grain of a good concept here. And I think we should do our kind of temporary worry jars. And especially, this is what because I've had some stress because of the thing I did with my business that I was talking about on patreon.com/thisisjen episode. What did we say? 102 of the Village Hustle Patreon. I have been having some issues the past few nights of just lying awake and fixating and just worst case scenario, doomsday prophesying. I mean, it's been a lot. And so the thing that makes me think a worry jar could be helpful is I've tried to have a practice of saying, look, is there anything I can do about this right now? Is there an action I can take right now? If there is, fine. So, and that has actually happened a couple times. I'll turn on the lights at 3:30 a.m. Joe loves this. And I'll just send a couple emails. If that will help me clear my mind, send a couple emails. Yes, everyone who works with me thinks I am literally insane. The people who work with me, they get emails from me at all hours. It'll be like 4:12 a.m. No, not all hours. Never like 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. but 4 a.m. Yes. And sometimes it'll be like a manifesto. I'll email my manager like, Tim, I just think that, maybe if we brand me as like, put it this way, then I think I can finally play Fargo, which is my big dream. And I can't get booked there. And he's got a timestamp like 3:49 a.m. Be like, she really needs help. So anyway, so I ask myself, and it's not a rhetorical question. In all seriousness, is there an action I can take right now? If there is, if I can't sleep anyway, might as well go do it. But if there's not, if I've done everything I can do, that it's done. Like, stop thinking about it. Go think about something else, because there's nothing I can do about this right now. So get your worry jar and let me know how it goes. Okay. Let's play this whole video of how to get a man to buy you a Porsche. This is from Lauren Catella on Instagram. And I think her handle is Laura Catella on Instagram. And Caitlin, I forgot to check this for language. So get your notepad ready, because we may be editing in post. So this is from one of these accounts that talks about how women can have better relationships with men, and just in general how you as a woman can be more alluring, get what you want out of life. And then the final thing I'll say before Caitlin plays it is what caught my attention is she refers to herself as mid, meaning not attractive, which is not true. She's quite gorgeous, but who knows if she really thinks she's mid. I don't know. But I think that's why I watched it, because you guys know I 100% believe that being beautiful, being attractive is 90% your body language, your attitude, just your overall, the package of your essence. So that's why I watched it. And then it kind of got crazy after that. But let's listen to the whole thing.
Ladies, I may be mid, but here are 10 reasons why my husband bought me this Porsche. I don't argue. I speak calmly and leave space for him to rise. I assume his intentions are good, which makes him want to prove me right. I let him lead, then praise what worked. Example, I love the way you handled that. I treasure myself. He mirrors how I treat me. I protect my peace earnestly. No chaos, no reaction spirals. I don't ask, what are we? I ask myself, am I aligned, and act accordingly. I say, that makes me feel taken care of anytime he shows up. I rest visibly so he knows what he's protecting.
Oh, I could do that.
I stay soft even when I'm right. He's not looking for a rival. He's looking for calm energy that he can trust. I'm poised, sincere, and warm in every room we walk into. This makes him want to keep me on his arm. Follow for more love truths that actually work.
Okay, so that's Laura Catella on Instagram. Now, the visibly resting. Now, I like the sound of that. I have that in spades. My husband definitely is not like, I'm afraid my wife is going to do too much. She needs to rest. She's too much masculine energy with all this work that she's doing around the house. I work like at my career, but there's not as much like visible movement. Oh, I think I told you guys our former dog, wonderful dog Scout, he used to whine a certain type of whimper when nobody was in the house. When he was left behind, he would, there's a certain type of whimper he did. And when the family would go out, but it was just me, I sit so still and I move so little that he would do the I'm home alone whimper. I think he thought I was a plant. I think he thought I was part of the foliage. That is how little I move. Okay. So the reason I played that video is because in the Catholic ghetto, and to some extent, I think the Protestants are into this too, to some extent. This is popular to talk about feminine characteristics versus masculine characteristics. And because the Lord likes to test my patience and give me a little gut check of where I am in my healing journey and my ability not to completely spiral into rage and arguing with people online, the Lord likes to put trad Catholic content in front of me. I think also because I tend toward that side of things. Like for those of you in the Catholic ghetto, how do I say this delicately? Like I don't want tambourines at the mass, I don't want no electric guitars. So I think because of that, I am aware of what some of the more traditional extremists, have to say. And so the reason I played that woman's video is because that is a similar message to what you see in religious circles, but I am friends of friends with some of the people saying this in religious circles. So if I play their video, then I'm going to get a text, and that's one more text that I have to reply to. So we'll take someone who is not from the religious world, but just know that I'm critiquing certain Catholic Twitter bros and Catholic podcast bros. So there's this big thing that is women should be in their feminine. I think the religious people don't say energy because that sounds too woo woo, but what would they say? It's like in their feminine. I think essence also makes it sound like they're into Wicca. So they probably would not say that. I forget, but they'll say, women need to have these classic feminine traits. And some of the ones that this woman talked about are what the trad bros talk about too. That, what was she saying? It was like being soft spoken or that I never, what is it? I never talk back.
Oh, I don't argue.
Literally me. Yeah. Just ask my husband. It's like, if I disagree with something, I keep my silence. I'm like, I'll just let that go. And I'm not. You do not understand how hard Joe would be laughing if he was in here. So yeah, it's like women. Play the beginning of it again, because honestly, I forget what she said.
Ladies, I may be mid, but here are 10 reasons why my husband bought me this Porsche. I don't argue. I speak calmly and leave space for
literally
him to
me.
rise. I assume his intentions are good, which makes him want to prove me right. Okay. I let him lead, then praise what worked. Example, I love the way you handled that. I treasure myself. He mirrors how I treat
Okay. Now my memories are fresh. Okay. So, and you see a lot of content like this that says, so that the only way that you're going to have a good marriage and your husband is going to be happy is if you have these characteristics. And the Christians they are really into baking. I don't know. That must be a Bible verse that I missed, because they are so into, your wife had better be baking. They're fresh loaves of sourdough. And just, they're so into the cooking and all that. That's very important to them. And she should dress in a feminine way, and she should have a soft-spoken voice, and when her husband gets home, she should greet him with soft-spoken words and just do other feminine things and wear perfumes and keep her hair nice. And here's why I care, because I have so many interesting women that listen to this podcast. One of them, someone said in a Apple Podcast review, she flies a Black Hawk helicopter. So I have some women doing the most fascinating things who are not, they're not doing the things that are classically feminine, and they don't have classically feminine personalities. Actually, as this one woman I met in Louisiana, wonderful woman, she's the right-hand woman of the bishop and gets things done in that diocese. And she said to me, you make me feel better because I'm bad at being a girl. I'm bad at being a girl. And she's so charming and so delightful. And I think the tension that messages like this, especially when you see it from your own people, if you're from the Catholic ghetto, if you see it from people who are in theory on your side of things, that they're telling you that you have to follow these very specific rules. And if you don't, then men won't like you, your husband won't like you, you won't be a good wife, you won't be a good mother. I think what can get on our skin, under our skin, is it's similar, actually it's kind of similar to the worry jar reel, in the sense that there is a grain of something there. And I think with these rules for men and women, that's why it can kind of get under your skin if you don't find it easy to follow the Catholic fan fiction rules that these guys make up, because there is something to it. There is such a thing as a feminine essence. There are differences between men and women. The way they feel built up, the way they feel loved tends to be different. Children need a maternal presence from their mothers. They need a masculine presence from their fathers. These are all true things. The problem is that the clickbait crowd tends to make it sound like these are hard and fast rules that are even possible to quantify. And here's the thing, actually, seamless tapestry, it's amazing how all of these things go together. Once again, this is similar to the previous topic that we discussed. Again, there is a positive, there is a grain of truth to this, that men and women are different, just like the idea of a worry jar. There is a place for letting things go and saying, this is not on my plate anymore. This is on God's plate for now. We're shifting it over to God's desk. It's not in my inbox anymore. There is a place for that. But the way it is being executed by online culture doesn't work in the face of the real world. And you know what bothers me is that people's concept of God is often so small and so limiting. And when you actually leave your basement that you tweet from and go encounter the world around you and meet a variety of people and really get to know them and be curious about them and not look at the world through your lens of what you need to be true because that's what you tweet about all day long, but look at it just with curiosity of these people have been married 30 years. That's interesting. They seem really happy. I'd be interested to know how does that work for them? And just get to know people and get to know the world. It makes you really appreciate the diversity that God has given us, not just with personalities, not just with people. I mean, just everything in all the different types of plants and all the, different things we have in the universe, all the planets. I mean, God is so creative, and this world that he has created is so big on every level. Again, not just everything that he put on earth, all the plants and animals and all that, but then even within just humans, all the different personalities. We have women flying Black Hawk helicopters. I mean, they're, women doing incredible things in all sorts of industries. And while I think it's totally fine and fair to say that women don't tend to gravitate to fields like ditch digging, coal mining, being a roughneck on an oil rig, I just watched a documentary about guys they're scuba divers who do repairs at the base of oil rigs in the North Sea. They walk on the ocean floor of the North Sea. So yeah, it's fair enough to say, let's be real, that tends to be more men than women doing that. Actually, even in my field, in stand-up comedy, it is 90% men, and I think that's fine. I see why. I think there are very good reasons that women don't tend to gravitate to these fields. And I think observing that and honoring that is fine, and probably even good. And I think even saying that in each marriage, there should be some light, loose behaviors and boundaries that make the woman feel honored in the way that women need to feel honored, and make the man feel honored in the way that men need to feel honored. But the options for making that happen are so interesting and so infinite. And just like with the worry jar, a lot of your little rules about women need to be baking in the kitchen or else their children will not have all their children will be trans because this is not a model of femininity. It's like these crazy things that these men say. It's like once you actually experience real life and have been kicked around a little bit by real life, you start to see just how many beautiful, awesome options there are for just making it work and doing creative and interesting things. That a while back, I knew a family that they were pretty traditional. They weren't weird about it, but the mom stayed home. She enjoyed doing domestic things and baking and all that. And the husband worked in tech, and it was great. They had a very traditional marriage. The trad bros would absolutely approve of that. But then he got laid off and his industry tanked hard, and he had a really hard time finding another job. Now, if this had been a guy who had bought into this box checking mentality that is, again, this is Catholic Church fan fiction. I mean, it's very much based on people living in the 21st century with 21st century ideas about men and women and their opportunities, like just pretending that this is historical Catholic teaching. If he had these ideas, like, if I am not going to an office 9 to 5 and covering every single one of our bills myself personally, then I'm not a real man. Well, that could have ended up causing so much unnecessary tension in their family, in their marriage, where I'm sure like God and the heavenly host are up there like, hey, what if your wife just gets a job? She can get a job. Like, it's really fine. It's really fine. It's fine. So she did end up getting a job. She made really good money. She liked what she did. And I think she ended up keeping that job when he went back to work. But she was doing less domestic stuff because she got really involved in her job, and she was still being feminine in different ways, and he was still being masculine. Even when he was unemployed, they found ways to still honor his masculinity and her femininity. And the point is, with both, with what you see in the religious world, and again with this with the Laura Catella reel, you're seeing this more in just the mainstream social media world, that women need to act this way. Women need to do this. They need to check these boxes, or else the men won't be interested in you, and your marriage won't thrive, and your husband won't buy you a Porsche. And then Caitlin's probably over there like, well, I might actually do all this because I want to make sure that I get a Porsche that I did not pay for. But it's discouraging to women who don't naturally fit into those boxes. Let's use the let's use a couple from my life. That when she's like, I don't spiral, and what was the other, like, she doesn't like talk back or something. Look,
Talks
you guys,
calmly.
look, that's not what my husband was looking for. He would be very concerned, I think, if suddenly, like, if he said something crazy and I was like, well, yes, sir, instead of be like, Caitlin sees us interact a lot. Like, she's, can you imagine? What was it? It was 2 podcast episodes ago. We were sitting on the back porch and Joe had some idea, and I looked at Caitlin, I was like, that's the craziest thing anyone's ever said. Like, that would never, where do you get that? Like, that would never work. And these are our interactions. Different men want different kinds of fun with their wives. Like for Joe and I, it is fun to have these spirited conversations. It's also interesting when you look, you guys know I'm so into history. I'm very interested in historical figures. And by the way, when you look at the women who tended to really enchant the men of their era, whether they were single or whether it was like a queen whose husband was completely obsessed with her or whatever, they actually weren't following a lot of these rules that you see on social media and that you see in the Catholic fan fiction world. They tended to actually be fairly spirited, interesting, like kind of going outside the lines a little bit. And the reality is that, speaking from a man's perspective, I mean, different men want all sorts of different things from their life partner. And I would say that the thing I've noticed about well-adjusted men is what they all have in common. If you want to take it down to the base, like one thing that tends to be true about all well-adjusted men is that they do love to build. And if you're single, and sometimes these influencers get you down with the stuff that they say, just remember this, single ladies. Men love to build. I'm sorry. The poltergeist stores really got a lot going on out there. What on earth?
Pretty sure that's
is that
mine.
Is someone okay. Yeah, you might. I just
That's
want
one of mine.
yeah, okay. Anyway, men love to build. But the way each man likes to build in a partnership with a woman is different. Another example is a friend of mine. Both of her parents were engineers at IBM. Both of them had masters in computer engineering, and they were a great couple. I think they're still married to this day. I think they've been married probably 40, 50 years at this point, and a wonderful couple. They just got along so well. Their kids were just lifelong devoted Christians that never strayed from the path, just always good, solid, church-going people, just doing wonderful things for the world. And this couple, the wife wasn't traditional in almost any way. I mean, she had a very short haircut, and she didn't wear a whole lot of makeup, and she was very into the engineering. I mean, she was an engineer, very nerdy, and I say that affectionately. That's a high compliment in my family to say someone is nerdy. She was very nerdy, not super fashionable. You know, she'd kind of wear pantsuits and stuff. So according to all of these box checking people, she didn't check quite a few of the boxes. She wasn't really a good cook. She didn't do domestic stuff very well. But again, men love to build, and her husband delighted in her, and as far as I know, still to this day delights in her, because that's his personality. He loves talking about, oh, it's this code that we're working on it at IBM. We've got a brand new system and blah blah blah. And she would push back and say, well, I just don't think that Java is the right platform for that, because when we use C++, we found that blah blah blah. And he loves it. Like, he's a nerd, and he wants a nerd who can go back and forth with him about things like that. Or all these rock climber people who I follow. I don't know. It's like, yeah, there's a rock, I got to go up it, and a lot of the women that absolutely enchant these guys that they can end up having beautiful, wonderful relationships with, they're not wearing makeup, they're not baking bread, they're climbing a rock. They've got calluses all over their fingers. They're very weather beaten. They get sunburned every single day. I mean, these women aren't fitting any kind of traditional role, but within their authentic selves, which is, like, let's say in this example, a rock climber woman, there is her own unique brand of femininity that comes through as a rock climber, as someone sweating on top of a freaking stone. It's like they're in their own way, they're bringing their own feminine energy to that situation that these men find absolutely delightful. And again, to take the programmer couple, she did bring her own feminine energy into those interactions. It just didn't look like wearing skirts and doing makeup and baking. And again, my husband is he loves thinking out loud about things and debating things and getting to the bottom of things and kind of fixing problems through analysis. That would not work for him if I were just like, okay, well, yes, sirree, anytime. Like he said, that's just not. But there are some base truths. Like I respect my husband and he respects me, but it looks different. It is in different ways, given that he is a man and I am a woman. So bottom line, and this also relates to the subject of, I think for those of you who are married, I think your husbands want a lot more intimacy. You should really talk to them about this. I've really done a deep dive on this after seeing this controversy, and I'm like, men are suffering. I'm very concerned about this. So I think that if you take those basic truths, like men pretty much universally, that their love language is going to be intimacy in that particular department. It is going to feel respected, although the exact ways that you execute your husband feeling respected can vary. Like for me, it's not keeping my silence when he says something insane. Like my husband does feel respected by me, but it is not by me not shooting off my mouth. It's other ways, and so yes, universal truth, husbands want to feel respected. But where these influencers jack everything up is they make it sound like there's only one way to execute that, and that is that you must speak in a soft voice and never say that. No, it's you figure out in your relationship, if you guys are programmers or you fly a Black Hawk helicopter or whatever, that's the way that your husband feels respected by you is going to look different. If you're a natural homemaker versus if you're running the engineering department at IBM, it's going to manifest differently. But that is the main thing that I wanted to point out. Next time you see that type of content that women need to be doing, that men don't like women that need to be do this, just know that they are operating on a baseline of truth, these base truths that men want to feel respected. Men want to feel like their wives are interested in intimacy, even if it's not able to happen at this particular moment, that's something their wives are in favor of and going to try to make happen more often, that sort of thing. These are base level truths, but there are infinite ways to make it happen. There are infinite ways to, for example, make a man feel respected or make a woman feel loved. And it doesn't have to involve checking these boxes of like what they did in the Little House on the Prairie novels. I mean, that's a lot of these ideas are like, these are ideas about femininity and masculinity that are really only from the past, like 200 years. So all that is to say, next time that kind of content stresses you out and makes you feel like, as that one gal said, I'm bad at being a girl. No, you're not bad at being a girl. You are just doing it a little differently than other people. And when you learn to honor the unique ways that you bring a unique brand of femininity to your relationship and to the world, I think you'll find that you just become a very alluring person on all levels, to your spouse, to your friends, to your community, and just watch how your life changes when you accept that. Patreon.com/thisisjen is where we do the after party. I keep talking for a little bit on this subject or other subjects. I share some behind the scenes stories. That is the base level after party episode of the Patreon. We also have the Village Hustle level. That's the one where I've been talking about my horrible business decisions. Patreon.com/thisisjen. And I will be back with you next week here on the Jen Fulwiler Show.